What happens when a nuclear weapon goes off? First is the flash, several times brighter than the sun. Next is the apocalyptic ball of fire, which within a half-mile radius burns a reverse silhouette of those outside as it vaporizes them. After that is the hurricane force winds caused by the shock wave, which topple concrete buildings. And finally is the apocalyptic plume of radiation, which, depending on where the wind is blowing, leaves a 50-mile swath of cancer and death. For the last 70 years, the United States and several other world powers have played a odd and idiotic game of chicken using these weapons, most notably using our ICBMs and their ICBMs. So far, we've gotten lucky. According to a professor at the University of Colorado Boulder of Oceanic and Atmospheric Studies, Brian Todd, we are one mistake from catastrophe. And looking back through history, it's not hard to see why. From 1961, 1960, 1961, 1962, 1979, 1980, 1983, 1995, 2007, 2010, there are 11 examples of what the military calls broken arrows. Basically times where there was a false alert or accidental deployment or loss or some other accident involving nuclear weapons, or false alarm involving nuclear weapons. In 1969, the moon was mistaken for Soviet ICBMs. In 1979, a NORAD computer glitch basically created an alert that almost brought us to nuclear war. 1983, Stanislav Petrov saved the world because he refused to alert his superiors, knowing that something was faulty. In 1995, Boris Yeltsin was 2 minutes from ordering a massive nuclear retaliation in response to what was a Norwegian scientific rocket launch. In 2007, the United States Air Force transported 6 nuclear weapons from Minot to Barksdale Air Force bases, unknowingly, and in 2010, a full 9th of the U.S. ICBM arsenal just went offline for 45 minutes. So, that's all good. We've gotten lucky. According to PBS, I don't know if I've said this, there have been 32 of these incidents that we know about. It's a fact. The United States, Russian, and Chinese militaries have what's called a launch on warning posture. And from the president's unilateral order that it cannot be disobeyed, it takes 5 minutes to launch our ICBMs. There are 900 of those, by the way. According to defense intellectuals, in articles in War on the Rocks, publication of the Texas National Security Review, and Defense One, these weapons are expensive, and it would be in our best interest of deterrence and mutually assured destruction to actually move toward hypersonic nuclear-armed cruise missiles, which would provide better deterrence in theater and better deterrence in a modern context. It's telling that the people who designed these weapons became the fiercest opponents of their use. John Robert Oppenheimer said this in an interview about the first time that a nuclear weapon detonated. We knew the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried. Most were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince to do his duty, and to impress him, he takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." we cannot eliminate the risk of nuclear war, but we can eliminate the risk of accidental nuclear war, or at least greatly minimize it. ICBMs and the hair trigger alert posture of 5 minutes till 900 thermonuclear warheads come shooting out of the ground. 900, that's the number according to Business Insider, is apocalyptic and dangerous. 60% of Democrats and Republicans support phasing out our ICBMs. The only way to change this is if it's a hot button issue. So it's incumbent upon us, for the sake of our children, to make it one. That's my speech.